Hi guys, this is Twin Peaks, Twin Perspective. I'm Joe.
I'm James.
And tonight we're going to be reviewing and recapping Twin Peaks, The Return, Part 15. There's some fear in letting go. Whoa. Full spoilers on everything Twin Peaks.
Starting now. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. Devil.
Our audio and video quality are crappy enough as it is.
Green screen is...
A shitty apartment.
Come on, I don't have frames, but I got pictures going up. I just got to take them.
Alright, so what did you think about Twin Peaks Return Part 15? There's some fear in letting go.
One of the best episodes. I say episode because it felt like an episode. We had cliffhangers.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like an old Twin Peaks episode with old characters, and the cliffhangers is the best part. And especially with the end. Ronette Pulaski comes to mind when she was in her coma and saw Bob and freaked out. It was just scary. And then executive producer Mark Frost and David Lynch. I totally expected that at the end of this episode. Executive producers.
Yeah, Ruby crawling around on the floor. It was terrifying.
It didn't feel like a part. It really felt like an episode. Because all the other parts so far, that's why it's hard to call them episodes, because they just disjointed and we left kind of things up in the, we left. It wasn't cut like episodes. It's a movie. And this was just great all the way around.
So 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
All right. I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10 because it was perfect in every way. And we're getting all those loose ends tied now, and we do have some doozies of cliffhangers. Oh, yeah. We don't have to wait 25 years to get the answers either. It's coming next week.
We still don't know what James found in that base in that.
In the boiler room. Freaking furnace place.
Yeah.
I thought that was your typical cliffhanger so far. Okay, what's going to be behind the door? Of course, we don't go and find out.
Mm-hmm. But they have it in his pocket.
Yeah, the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station probably didn't search him. It's in his pocket. Look what I found, Freddie. There's a ring.
There's certain places you put stuff when you get searched.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it's at.
Hey, Freddie, can I borrow your glove?
Roar, start.
Okay, let's actually start reviewing the episode. We opened up with black and white Rancho Rosa colors. That was the same as last week, so I had a feeling we were in for a good one. Again, we might finish this whole thing off with black and white Rancho Rosa again. You think?
Rancho Rosa.
I had picked red, and you picked a purplish red.
Yeah.
Okay, we open up in Twin Peaks, and Nadine is walking down the highway, and she's carrying a golden shovel.
Oh, I've been wanting to see her swing this shovel and smack someone in the head for so long.
And she walks for quite a while, and she's pretty happy the whole time. And the birds are chirping and stuff. And then we see where she's headed. She's heading to Big Ed's gas farm.
No.
And the first thing I think is, off with his head.
Don't smack him.
No,
I don't want to see you use your shovel.
Oh, we started with that awesome drone shot before the Nadine walking along the street. We've been getting great drone shots throughout the series, and this episode had several. So she walks up to Ed, and she starts talking about how much she loves him, and how she's been a jealous bitch all these years. That she knew that Ed loved Norma, and she kept them apart because she manipulated Ed. She basically admitted that she's been a horrible person in this relationship, and she also said Ed has been a saint the whole time. I mean, Ed's suspicious as always. I mean, come on.
You've been watching that show again.
You've been watching Jacoby. Yeah. You've been watching Jacoby's show again. Oh my word.
Yes, I have.
She said, well, he's the only one that speaks the truth lately. She said she's changed. And if someone loves someone enough, the way they show it is by allowing the person they love to do what they love, and so she wants Ed to run to Norma. Do it now. And don't worry about me, I'll be fine. And Ed's like, okay, you're going to regret this when you wake up tomorrow. She said, no. She said, listen, she said, listen to me, you big lug. How beautiful is this? Like, how awesome is this? I'm letting you go, and you can go be with the one you love. It's just weird.
Yeah, she said, I walked here. I had plenty of time to think about it and turn around.
Yep. It's really how I feel. And she said, it's all thanks to Dr. Ram. She said, it's all thanks to Dr. Ram.
They come in twos.
Oh. We've been talking about the importance of everything Dr. Ram's been saying and doing. The gold shovel, it might end up being like the green glove. I don't know. But right now, like gold shovel has provided us with Ed and Norma. Or at least there's the opportunity. Because Ed takes off. He goes straight from work to the Double R Cafe. He walks in. He's excited to get Norma's attention.
Well, he pulls up and you hear the beginning of the song, which is the crowd, the audience. And if you own Otis Redding's Deluxe Greatest Hits, this live version is included on there. And when I heard the live, I went, yeah, with the crowd like they did, because I remembered it. I just couldn't remember what song it was. Then it kicked on, and that's when
I've been loving you.
Turn the faucets on.
It was a great scene because you didn't know which direction it was going to go. Percy approaches Norma. The music's playing. He says, everything's changed, Nadine. I just talked to Nadine. She told me to be free, and Norma's like, oh, Ed, I'm sorry. Walter's here.
Oh, we can see him over the shoulder, too.
And when they walk to the table together, Norma and Walter are talking about the flowers he sent her, and she invites him to sit down, and you just get that knife in your heart. Big Ed is so shaken up by this that he actually puts his hand on the counter like he's trying to stop himself from fainting. And then he looks at the counter and immediately sits down. It's almost like he's grabbing on to the only thing he's got left in the relationship. And he's like, he tells Shelley he wants a cup of coffee. And then the music stops. And he says, in a side-eye capsule. And you're thinking, whoa. And that music doesn't come back on until after Walter and Norma have the first part of their conversation. Norma's decided she wants to get out of the franchise business. She wants to keep her own restaurant and sell her shares of all the other franchise to Walter. Walter's freaking out because she's walking away from a profitable situation. But she said she's doing it because of her family. And Walter said, well, I thought you said you didn't have a family. And Norma said, no, I do, and she wants to focus on that. So
you got 7 restaurants, 8 is too much. That's what I did there.
He was enough. I get it. So
the music, every time we go back to Ed, the music would kick back on. It was
the music came back on. You go back to Ed.
So good.
Ed closes his eyes. It's almost like he's meditating. He's trying to find some center of balance here, and we go back to Walter and Norma again, and Walter tells Norma he thinks she's making a mistake.
She's making a big mistake. He didn't say it like that.
And when Walter walks out, Ed's sitting there with his eyes closed, and when Walter walks past him, Ed gets us a little bit of a smile, like he sensed Walter leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And Lynch hung on just long enough, and then Norma's hand comes into the frame and puts her hand on his shoulder, and that's amazing. Amazing. And Ed turns around and relives those words from season 2, will you marry me?
Marry me.
And they kiss, and she says, of course I will. And Shelley's watching, and she starts crying. She's smiling. And we're right there with you, Shelley.
Yeah, now why don't you get on your white horse, go dump Red, look at Red and go, you kiss these puppies goodbye, and then go find Bobby.
Yeah. And then Bobby could be sitting in the conference room. I've been loving you. Shelley walks in.
Brings back some memories.
Absolutely brilliant scene. I loved it.
They held on to the song for so long. I mean, going outside in the clear blue skies.
You see the clear blue skies, and he's, I love you, God Almighty, I love you. And it's a reflection of how we feel about the series. It really is. And for a moment, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is everything.
That's the way you end an episode. I think I remember you saying that's the way you end an episode.
yeah, that'll leave you feeling great for another week. This is probably that best beginning ever. It's the best soap opera beginning ever. It's the best feel-good beginning ever. The feel-good ending in Las Vegas was probably the best feel-good ending.
Yeah.
With Dougie and the Mitchum brothers.
Yeah.
But this was the best beginning by far. Feel-good beginning.
Yeah.
It's Twin Peaks, and you knew it wasn't going to last.
No, and I was running out of Kleenex. I'd use I only had a little roll of toilet paper there. It was pathetic.
But we're not done crying in this episode.
No.
But before we cry again, we go from the bright blue skies of Twin Peaks to this dark road and the familiar sight of the lines in the roadway that's in every Lynch movie. We hear the rumbling, and there's Mr. C. He's driving his big Silverado. Now we know he's got coordinates in his pocket, and we know that he believes Philip Jeffries is at a place called the Dutchman's. So Mr. C pulls up to the convenience store.
The woodsman there in the road. Come on, this way.
There's a woodsman there protecting the grounds, I guess. Mr. C gets out. This is the same convenience store from New Mexico when the bomb exploded. You see it for the first time in New Mexico.
It had me doubting that. No, it went straight from. No, was it in New Mexico? Yeah, I was doubting.
Well, apparently the Dutchman's is a ghost ship.
It's a Flying Dutchman.
We didn't figure this out, but it is. So the woodsman leads Mr. C up the stairs. We're expecting to go to a room above the convenience store, and people saw this convenience store and said, well, there's not really a room above it.
They built something up later.
There's stairs that lead to nowhere. Oh, it leads somewhere, all right.
And once again, duh.
Zoop. They both vanish into some other plane of existence. Now, this place is a room that looks like the painting that Mrs. Tremont gave Laura Palmer in Fire Welcome. Laura hung the painting up. It was a picture of a room, and then all of a sudden Laura was in the room in her dream. Well, here's the room. Mr. C walks up to this other woodsman who's sitting there next to this big electronic component.
I love David Lynch's old school. Looks like the back of a TV, old box TV.
And flicking the switch like Eraserhead. I mean, he asks if he could see Philip Jeffries. The woodsman turns this crank. We get the electrical sound, and then we see the jumping man in a flash.
Yeah.
People have seen Sarah Palmer's face mixed in with the jumping man's mask. Very strange.
You went back and looked at that?
I've seen stills of it, and it does look like Sarah Palmer's face superimposed, but you can't hardly see it when it's happening. It's choppy lighting, and so anyway, this happens only when the electrical shock is going on from the crank.
And to me, it's like SETI moving the satellite dish to get the right signal. You know, it's like he's moving, shifting to what?
Oh, you want to go to Jeffries? Well, that's on in this dimension, or this timeline.
The flux capacitor.
Right.
This year.
Once it stops, another woodsman appears on the other side of a door. The woodsman that's sitting down grabs a stick and he slams it on the ground. Boom! And then the woodsman on the other side of the door motions for Mr. C to come through the door.
Thou shalt pass.
Right. Mr. C walks through the doorway, and then the woodsman and Mr. C go down a long, dark hallway. And during their walk, we have superimposed trees in the woods, which tells me we're traveling from one place to another. We might be traveling different dimensions, different timelines, like I said.
Depending on where he switched it.
Right. Kind of like Nadia before she. Anyway, so they get to the end of the hallway, they enter, and it's a staircase. They both, the woodsman and Mr. C, walk up the staircase. And then when they get to the top, it's another room that Mr. C walks through. And when he opens the door, it's an exit to outside. You hear the insects chirping, and it looks like Mount Si Motel.
It looks exactly like Mount Si. And we were there in 2011.
Yeah,
We scoped it out.
We haven't been there in years, but it looks exactly like Mount Si now.
Just the back side, because Leland comes through the opening here,
Right.
and that room was room 6.
Yeah,
Is where Laura was in Fire Walk with Me,
Room
and
8
Mount Si. 8 is 2
a
doors
couple more
down.
down in the corner.
And he didn't have a key, or he couldn't get in. Someone had to let him in.
Well, before I go on to the description, I just want to say Mount Si was the hotel that Leland Palmer met Teresa Banks at, and then he went again and was going to have a threesome, and the 2 girls that were there with Teresa, one of them was his daughter, so he backed out of it. But this was a hotel that was featured in Fire Walk with Me. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be the same hotel in this journey that Mr. C's taken, but it's the same location. I'm pretty positive it's the same location. So I just want to make sure I get that clear. I don't know if this is the Teresa Banks Hotel or not. I know it is the actual hotel, but I don't know if it's supposed to be in the story the same hotel or not. Okay. So Mr. C walks up to the door. He's guided by 2 other woodsmen. There's a woodsman at every doorway. It's like they're guarding the place. They walk Mr. C to hotel room number 8, and he can't get in because it's locked. Then some strange woman appears, walks backwards to the door, and she speaks backwards. I'll unlock it for you. And she unlocks the door backwards.
Someone would have had to push the door from behind to her, because she did it backwards.
I think she was holding on to the knob.
Yeah.
She pulled it.
Just it looks so weird. It's like some of these look like she probably had to have a little help to get that one started, because it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell when they're walking forwards that they're walking backwards if you pay close attention to the movement of the flowing gowns or anything. This character in the credits was named Balsami Woman. And
Balsami.
she's actually played by a man named Malachi Sreenan, which I thought was very weird. So they get to the door.
Recognize.
Mr. C enters. He closes the door behind him. Inside this room, it looks like it's almost empty. And there's a fluorescent light that's flickering on and off, paying homage to the pilot. And there's a phone there with a red book laying next to it. I don't know what the red book was. I don't think it was Laura's secret diary. But you always look at props whenever, especially when there was hardly anything in this room. There was like a little lamp, and then there was like a little radiator next to the wall. But all of a sudden the wall opens up like it's curtains. And revealed behind the wall is this thing that looks like a tea kettle, or maybe a percolator. It's squirting out smoke/steam, and there's
a fish bowl.
There's this glowing ball there. It could be a fish bowl. And the smoke's entering it, and we hear a lot of clanking and electrical sounds. And then we hear Philip Jeffries' voice. And Mr. C and Jeffries start to have this conversation. They've met before. Now, Dale Cooper's never met Philip Jeffries in real life, only except for that time featured in Fire Walk with Me when Philip Jeffries shows up, and Cole and Albert couldn't really recall the events that happened there. That was the incident that Mr. C was referring to. They had met before. He said, yeah, 1989. You showed up at the FBI headquarters.
So it was a year before.
He even went to Twin Peaks.
So it should have been 88. But that's
Well, no, that might have been a month or two.
it's neither here nor there. That was the first thing I thought.
And then Mr. C, he actually said, "You called me 5 days ago." So that's how long the series has actually existed, 5 days. He said, "You called me 5 days ago." And Philip Jeffrey says, I don't have your number. I didn't call you." He said he did call Ray, though, but he never said he hired Ray. He said he called Ray. And then Mr. C started insisting on who is Judy. He wanted to know, who's Judy? And Philip Jeffrey said, "You know Judy, you've met Judy." And Mr. C's confused about this, so we're over here racking our heads trying to think, well, who has Dale Cooper met that he knows that could be Judy? I mean, Josie shot him. But Josie's dead.
Yeah.
So, and there was an insinuation that Jeffries was like, "It is you, Cooper." So instead of this doppelganger running around, Jeffries is insinuating that this is the real Cooper, but I'm not quite sure about all of this. Not at all.
It definitely proves that Philip Jeffries doesn't know everything that maybe we thought he was privy to when he was just a mystery. There are some things missing from his mind that we know, or that, things that are happening that he doesn't know when it comes to
Mr. C, for sure.
yeah, maybe even doppelgangers in general. I mean,
so there was a phone call previously in the series that was supposedly placed by Jeffries to Mr. C, and in the conversation you figure out that Mr. C doesn't believe this is Jeffries, and so once again here's Mr. C talking to a voice, and he's not quite sure if this is even the person who called him previously or not. We're not sure if this Jeffries is trying to screw Mr. C over, or he's working with Mr. C, or we don't even know. He says, "Thank God," when Mr. C walked in. Thank God.
did he?
Mm-hmm. Like he was happy that Mr. C was there.
Thank
But
God.
then it could be the real Jeffries thinking it's really Cooper, and so this is something that they're going to have to figure out and explain to us.
I didn't get a chance to watch twice, so I didn't get it. Usually I watch it immediately afterwards with closed captions so I can be better versed. But
Yeah. He also tells Mr. C that he can ask Judy himself. Mr. C's wondering if Judy wants something from him. You can ask her yourself. Here, I'll write it down for you, and the smoke that's billowing out starts to form numbers. It forms 7 numbers, 4803551. And I'm sure whoever has that phone number is getting a lot of phone calls in the last week or in the next week. And Mr. C just keeps screaming, "Who's Judy? Who's Judy?" This tea kettle that looks like it's supposed to be Jeffries vanishes. All of a sudden, the wall's there again with a little radiator, and this phone's ringing. So Mr. C has no other option but to answer the phone, and all of a sudden, zoop, he's right back outside the convenience store, standing at the payphone. And you can tell there's a little jerk in time when he goes to hang up the phone. What a way to exit the building. So, waiting outside the convenience store for Mr. C is Richard Horn. Richard followed Mr. C from the farm. Richard's been tagging Mr. C. So Richard's pulled up behind Mr. C in his crappy car that he probably stole. And he's got a gun pointed to Mr. C.
it's probably Chuck's car.
Right. So we're going to tie everyone in. So Richard says he recognizes Mr. C. "I know who you are. I've seen a picture of you. You're the FBI agent." Except in the picture you had on your FBI suit. And Mr. C's like, "Where'd you see that?" He said, "My mom had the picture." "Who's your mom?"
Tina.
Nope. Richard Horn's mom is Audrey Horn.
Yes.
She had sex with John Justice Wheeler once, and then she blew up in a bank and was supposedly in a coma after that.
Mhm.
So this child is either the child of Jesus because she immaculately conceived, or the virgin shot from John Justice Wheeler, Jack, or Mr. C visited her in that coma in the emergency room in the ICU and planted his demon seed. So,
Or
oh,
a disorderly orderly.
well, yeah, his name's probably Buck.
Buck the disorderly orderly.
Yeah. Just remember that Kill Bill Volume 1 came out way after Firewalk. Okay.
Buck lost the book.
Mr. C spits. Richard looks down at where he spit, and then he does the FBI move and takes the gun out of his hand, punches him in the face,
Nice.
and kicks him while he's down twice. And while he was kicking him, I was thinking to myself, he knows that's his kid. When it was happening, I thought, Mr. C knows that's his kid. I don't know why him kicking him while he was on the ground, but he was letting up. Now, we got to understand where Richard's at in this process. Richard can't go back to Twin Peaks, Washington. He's wanted. He's trying to rely on his friends, his buddies, right? Red ain't nobody. Chad ain't nobody. The family's cut him off. Richard has nobody. So he goes to this degrade frickin' farm, all these lowlifes, and you watch Mr. C become the boss. So now he needs protection. Richard needs protection. Richard needs somebody that he can trust, and at least he knows of all these goons that was at the farm. Mr. C's the one that's going to kick everybody's ass. Mr. C could have killed him with one punch, but Mr. C was letting up. And I'm thinking, he knows that's his kid. And this is strange to me.
And we still don't really know what Richard knows. I seen a picture of your mom had.
Right,
Like, what did your mom tell you about Cooper?
right.
But was she in a coma the whole time? She couldn't tell him shit. My mom had a picture. So what was he staying at the Great Northern when he was growing up, maybe, and rifling through her drawers?
Right,
So
right.
she's
Or
in a coma. I mean,
She's in a coma at the
Or it's a
hospital.
picture-
There's
yeah, it's a picture of Cooper.
right there on the bedside. No, I don't think so.
with Diane.
And we also have to realize we get publicity
With-
still
Yeah.
because they just got to be cheesy like that. A lot of people think Audrey may still be in her coma. Well, Dr. Hayward said when Audrey was in her coma, past tense. Now, that was the first indication to me that said she's not in a coma. We're going to talk about Audrey when we get to her scene later. It seems more and more like she better be in a coma or else because the scenes drive me nuts. But,
Arkham Asylum. She's gonna walk out and you pull back. Arkham Asylum.
right. She's going to be choking her pillow instead of her husband, and they're going to be snapping her out of it. Wake up, Audrey, wake up! And they're going to shoot her up again or something. Okay, so anyway, we'll get to Audrey in a minute. So that's what struck me, that Mr. C knows this is his kid, and Richard climbed in that truck, no questions asked, because he needs some protection.
He said, "Get in the truck and don't say a word or something."
Right. He said, don't ever threaten me again.
Yeah.
Get in the truck, we'll talk on the way. On the way. I'm assuming they're going to Twin Peaks. Now, why would I assume that? I don't know. It seemed like Mr. C was interested that, he recognized the Audrey Horn name. He knows who Audrey is. He knows everything Cooper knows. But he's got the coordinates in his pocket.
Yeah.
He had two things to do: find Philip Jeffries, and the ultimate damn point of his journey since from part 2. I need the coordinates so I can find the mother figure. So I'm assuming he knows those coordinates leads to Twin Peaks, and he's got his kid in the truck with him, and he's heading to Twin Peaks. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm not thinking it's where we went by Jack Rabbit's Palace. I'm thinking it's somewhere up on Blue Pine Mountain that his coordinates are. Still Twin Peaks.
That wasn't at Blue Pine Mountain, Jack Rabbit's Palace. I don't remember which mountain that was at.
I don't know.
The same mountain
It could be the same. It could be the
as
same.
Briggs listening station.
But I thought with Bobby's coordinates, but then they showed on the GPS, and then he said, "My map says that it's here."
Oh, so it could have been. Well, I thought it was the same location.
It might be. It might be.
We're gonna see though.
I'm thinking of where the Blackfire was, where you don't ever want to know what that is, but there were different spots on the map. So I don't want to say it's 100% sure that his coordinates are Jackrabbits. That would just be another thread we'd have to tie up.
You better get there by 2:53.
It needs to be October 2nd when he gets there, because he missed
He missed October 1st.
he missed October
Grand
1st.
opening. Okay, so one other thing. Before Mr. C gets in the truck with Richard, he pulls out a phone and he texts Las Vegas. And when I saw this, I thought, oh, come on. There's no way he's texting Diane. I've proven this. He's not texting Diane. How does Diane keep receiving these texts that he's sending?
I don't know, because the time on his phone said 9:34 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and he was texting from Montana. If I'm not, I mean,
Either Western Montana or Eastern Washington. That's what I'm going to assume.
but Diane received the Las Vegas text at 7:28, 1928, which military time is 7:28
7:28 p.m.
Now that's
Of
before,
course, this was several episodes ago, but we know the time
and they're in South Dakota,
all over the place.
so it should have been 6:28 or 7:28, depending on whether.
Or not 34.
Yeah, not 34.
Yeah, 28.
If she'd have been 34 and he'd have been 28, you
Okay.
could see it taking 6 minutes to get to
Mr.
her.
C sent his text at 9:34. Diane received her text at 7:28. Two totally different texts. We know that for a fact. Definitely. Okay?
It's gotta be.
Gotta be. Either that or they're just really screwing this up. Because they're proving to me every time they have a Mr. C text scene that it's not Mr. C. And I know that the entire community thinks it's Diane's communicating with Mr. C, but I just don't, it's not happening. Why are the times different? Did they not know this when they filmed it?
The sense not to have the date on it. You know, we still don't know what day it was received.
Right.
She should have received it the next day.
Yeah, there's no way that Mr. C sends a text at 9:34 p.m. and she receives it at 7:28 p.m.
Unless he was in Washington and she was in Louisiana or Chicago.
New York.
Yeah. Oh, 2 hours later.
It's still 34 instead of 28.
Yeah,
so we're not going to talk about it. I don't know who he sent it.
Mr. C would have been in New York for her to be in South Dakota.
Okay, let's
Okay.
Sure. This got confusing.
Yeah. It's
impossible.
It ain't happening.
It's not happening. Diane is not getting texts from Mr. C. It's not happening. I hope you guys watch this show and learn it, because all the other shows you guys watch, they don't talk about this at all. And it's flipping obvious. And you got the entire community running around thinking Diane's talking to Mr. C, and it's been proven over and over again that she's not. And it was proven again in this episode. Okay. Now,
He's animate.
I love my Diane. She better prove me right, Harlan.
I know. I just don't want it to be all. I mean, just please don't let it be all continuity errors and misprint. You had years to work on the script.
Yeah, really.
So yeah.
Great.
No.
Okay, so Mr. C drives off, and then the convenience store starts to smoke. Smoke billows out of it. It's flowing through the trees. The building starts to disappear and come back in the frame, and it almost like just goes away, and all we see left is a little bit of the smoke, shadow from the smoke, actually. I love that effect, however they did that. And the trees. So the convenience store, much like the Dutchman, is it the Dutchman's?
Flying Dutchman.
The Flying Dutchman's disappeared. I don't know where they're going, but I know how you can get to the room above it. If you go to where Bill Hastings showed you in South Dakota, the vortex should lead you right to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How did he summon the Dutchman to come to him? I don't understand.
Well, maybe he knew it was there. That was the last place it was. Maybe it only moves around every 5 years or something.
Maybe. So Major Briggs was hiding out at the Dutchman's.
It would seem like that's where Cole was going to go in South Dakota Vortex. He was going to go above the convenience store.
That's where Hastings found Briggs, and Briggs said, "I got to get out of here. It's not safe."
Right.
And yeah, and we assumed maybe whatever happened to him and Hastings and his wife were, possible Mr. C popped up, kicked his ass, or whatever.
We're totally doing thoughts we thought you didn't.
Oh yeah, we did. We are.
We said we wasn't gonna try to break it all down too much, but we can't help it.
It's tough because
We only got 3 hours left. We really want to sew this stuff up. Chomping at the bit to figure it out. Okay, the next shot is another awesome drone shot in Twin Peaks. Then we go to the woods, and then we get one of my least favorite characters of all time, Steven. Everybody likes Steven. If you like, you like drug addicts, abusers, people that look like they haven't bathed in forever.
and he's got the
Yeah, it just everything about him just grosses me out. He's there next to a tree with Gersten Hayward.
pretty tree.
And they're having this horrible conversation. Gersten's trying to convince Steven. She's saying she did it. And Steven's saying, no, I did it. And then he starts to insinuate that he wants to kill himself. And Gersten says that you were fucking stoned. You didn't know what you were doing. Then he starts telling her that he's a high school graduate, and she says, fuck. Like she realized right at that moment how young he was. Then he starts imagining after he shoots himself, I believe this is what's happening. He's going to go inside the house or this place, whatever he's looking at going into, and he's going to shoot himself. And he's wondering if she goes in after him, if he's going to see her. And where will he be? Will he be with the rhinoceroses and then something else and something about, or will I be turquoise? It was really strange, but they were both obviously screwed up, and he kept rubbing himself and stuff. And then at one point he said, this is the end. I've got a duty to do.
You said duty.
There's a guy walking a dog, and I didn't tell it was Mark Frost at first, but later on when he's talking to Carl Rod, I realized who it was. Obviously, Mark Frost when you get the close-up of him. But he was dressed a lot like one of them hobos, and he was walking a dog, and they came upon the scene where Steven and Gersten was, and they both scream. Steven tries to hide the gun. Gersten runs to the other side of the tree or runs to another tree. The man with the dog takes off running. And then we see Gersten sitting there, and then we hear a gun click, and then a shot. And she starts rubbing her face, going nuts.
I don't think the man with the dog, i.e. Mark Frost, I don't think he saw Steven shoot himself, if Steven shot himself. He was already gone.
I think he left.
And I don't think Steven's dead.
The gun.
Because, we love this actor so much.
Yeah.
We need to see Steven one more episode snotting all over himself. Maybe one last dying breath. Because,
We mentioned the aftermath because
whoever thinks that's eye candy.
Because this character Mark Frost portrays, his name is Cyril Pons.
Mm-hmm.
He's a TV reporter from the pilot.
Meteorologist or just a
Well, he
reporter?
was reporting from the burnt sawmill.
Yeah.
So I doubt if he was doing the weather.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would come up with that. I've heard that so many times. That he was a weatherman. He was a reporter for the TV.
Turn it off, Shelley.
I don't know why he'd be living in the Fat Trop Trailer Park, but he did show up, and he knew that the guy he saw in the woods lived in this trailer right here. He tells Carl Rod he lives in that trailer right there, and it's the trailer that Steven had sent the coffee cup line from, because you can see the hole in the window. And so now Carl Rod is alerted to this, and that's one of the cliffhangers we're left there to wonder if Carl Rod's going to go into the woods and discover a body.
Go in
the trailer. Go in the trailer and discover a body.
Oh, Steven would deserve to die then.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just wish he would have pulled the trigger on both of them while we were there. I mean, you just show the blood splatter on a tree. I wasn't looking for brain matter. But Gersten is, outstayed her stay. The wayward Hayward.
Well, okay, so all of the all of the youth of Twin Peaks and even the adults, they're all affected by what's going on. And I have hope that Gersten can be saved. She's one like Laura that got turned down the wrong path, and she's a good person inside, and she needs to get off this sparkle. And I think that's what's happening. The rash, the girl with the rash, the girl that was puking in the car, you know, she looked kind of young to be on sparkle. She might have been throwing up because of the evil. But all of this stuff like the rash and everything, he was rubbing himself and he was hallucinating, obviously, because he kept screaming. And the trees were going in and out of focus. This sparkle thing is what's tearing up everybody.
I remember Jean-Michel Renault was talking about two women he sent somewhere and they were 15. You know, I didn't know they had good IDs. So that girl could be 13 years old but hooked on sparkle.
Right.
You got to get them while they're young.
Exactly. And the best place to do that is at the Roadhouse, and that's where we're going to next. Well, we haven't seen Jean-Michel.
No, that might have been his only date.
See, I want Harry Truman to kick through the door and arrest that guy. That would be a great way to bring Harry back. Just have him arrest old Jean-Michel. Okay, anyway, we're going to the Roadhouse. Harry's not there. We see Renee, and she's sitting at a table with her husband, who we find out is Chuck.
Chuck stole
Chuck supposedly stole Billy's truck, according to Audrey. No. Chuck said no. Yeah, Chuck stole Charlie's truck. Who said it?
Audrey said that.
Yeah, but somebody told her and she didn't trust it. Thought that was Chuck.
Right.
Okay.
Tina said Chuck stole. Anyway. Did anybody ever say it was the same truck that Richard had? That Richard was driving? All we know is that truck. Andy said that truck. The owner of that truck.
The truck that Richard stole, that he ran over the kid with, was the farmer's truck. That's all we know.
Right. We could be talking about two different trucks. But okay, let's get back to Renee and Chuck.
Freaking Chuck is Renee's husband, and he's a jerk. And his friend, I guess his name's Skipper, even though he didn't say anything. There was someone in the credits called Skipper. I'm assuming that's, you know. And James and Freddie walk in. James Hurley and Freddie Sykes with the green glove. And James immediately wants to go say hi to Renee. And this asshole Chuck gets pissed and jealous. Then James starts to look like a fool because he doesn't know what to say.
I have to actually jump in for a second because we were told that James has always been cool. And that was uncool to go up to a girl who's on the inside. It's not like you walk past her and you see her. No, you go past the boyfriend or husband to say, hi, how you doing? Man, that was uncool, James.
Very uncool, James.
Served to have his butt kicked for that. Don't go hitting on somebody when they're on a date. Another girl sitting right there. Why don't you say hey to the whole table? It's just, yeah, baby, yeah.
Yeah, and Chuck didn't like the guy for sure. He got right up and started kicking James's ass. And his friend jumped in too. And James is getting pummeled on the ground. And Freddie's like a day late and a frickin' dollar short where they have in England. Pound. He's a day late and a pound short.
And a pinch short.
So, but he says, oi, oi! Stop that, mate. And then barely gives him anything. Boom, and just the sound makes the record shake, the whole building shake. The guy goes flying to the ground, and then he gets Chuck. Oi! And Chuck's on the ground, and all Chuck's eyes are going nuts and rolling in the back of his head. James said, his eyes don't look right. He's foaming at the mouth. And Freddie said, I'm sorry, mate. I didn't want to hit him hard. I hit him as light as I could or whatever. And James like, well, thank you. You know, somebody called 911 because these guys are really hurt. Unbelievable.
I wonder who got sent to the Roadhouse. They're getting short on people.
We never see the cops show up at any of these crime scenes.
Poor Jesse, man. Poor Jesse.
I want to see his car. Tug it.
Well, that's why, I mean, they keep having fights and stuff at the Roadhouse, and we never, like, no one ever stops it. They get, like, abuse to women, and later on, you know.
Right.
But, I mean, I guess they don't have a bouncer. He's in jail.
Right.
That bouncer's in jail now.
There were no families been running this place, and it's just garbage. Just nothing but garbage in, garbage out. Like you said, every morning, like, what the hell happened to you? I went to the Roadhouse last night. Oh, okay. I got you. You're not in jail. Wow. Now, when the scene starts, the MC's actually on stage, and he's not introducing a band. He's introducing one of the Roadhouse's favorite songs, and then they play Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top with this big loud meter that he physically moves all the way to 10 way after everyone starts cheering.
That's one of those jokes. Well, it's got to be a Frost joke, you know. But it's like, it's a Lynch thing too. But
Yeah.
you gotta love them just for no reason.
And the MC does a little dance.
Oh man,
Before
somebody
he goes off the stage.
Yeah, somebody was up. They were filming, probably shooting that during the day or at night. It was somebody who had some coffee or something.
Yeah, he looked like he was in on it.
They were moving in.
He was having a good time. Okay, so we go from that awesome night scene in the Roadhouse to Las Vegas, to the FBI offices in Las Vegas, where Wilson knocks on Headley's door and tells Headley that they've got Douglas Jones and his wife Jane. And Headley's really excited, so he starts walking down the hall with Wilson, and he says, "Are they giving you any problems?" And he said, "No, it's just the kids." Headley says, "Kids?"
He's so good.
Plural? Kids? Plural? Wilson books it the other way down the hall. Headley opens up a door, and it's just a family that's obviously been woken up from their house. There's about 4 or 5 kids in there. One of them's just screaming. Headley closes the door. Wilson! Kids? Okay, and that was it for that scene. So funny. And another
22 to go.
Another obvious indication that the FBI is just a bunch of bumbling idiots. Good Lord.
FBI!
Is her nickname Janie Ethan? One kid. I mean, does Headley know it's one kid? Did Wilson know it was one kid? Does anybody know? The FBI, I swear.
Diane, do they have any kids? By the way, do you know his name? But there's probably 2 Doug, Jane, Sonny Jim families in Las Vegas.
There's 2, and they got the first one, so they'll find the other one.
Yeah, one of them kids was Sonny Jim. The one that was screaming.
God. Sonny James. So
Sonny Jim Bob.
we go to another Las Vegas location. It's the office where Duncan Todd's always at. He's never left. He's called Roger in. I thought he was hiring someone to go and kill Tony before, but he's asking Roger if Roger's got a hold of Tony yet. Roger says no, and he says, well, we need to get a hold of him right now. And then all of a sudden this woman walks in and shoots Duncan Todd, blows a hole in his head, loses like half the side of his face, a big chunk of meat falls on lies on the ground.
This had the effect of killing him.
And then the woman shoots Roger in the chest. He hits the ground. She starts to walk out, and she gets on the phone, and as soon as she starts talking, we realize it's Chantel. Hey, hon, and you can hear someone isn't dead yet. They're gurgling. She's like, oh, fuck.
You could have lived, Roger. You could have lived.
She walks back in, takes him out.
Hi, Roger.
And she gets back on the phone. 1 down, 1 to go. Yeah, I want French fries. Make sure you get extra ketchup.
She didn't get a chance to torture these 2. She wants extra ketchup.
So she says 1 down, 1 to go. So we're talking about the double header. The first person she was supposed to kill is Duncan Todd. I think Roger was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now she's got one other game to play. And we got to assume that's Dougie.
Yeah.
The ultimate kill is Dougie.
Ike the Spike got Lorraine and Dougie.
Mm-hmm.
Ike the Spike went to jail, but at first I thought maybe this was Todd and Ike the Spike were the two hits.
Right.
But we've already seen Ike get, incarcerated, so yeah, it's got to be Dougie.
Got to be Dougie.
I thought it might be Anthony, and it's like, wait, they probably don't even know about Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a Todd thing. That
Lots of
wasn't a
people want to
Cooper
kill
thing.
Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely.
Now the Mitchum brothers, they said we don't have to pay for that hit on Ike now.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't that be? I mean, that's thoughts we thought you didn't think of, but wouldn't that be fucked up? They got a call saying, "Hey, you got to kill this guy named Douglas Jones," and it's their boss.
No.
I know it's too late in the game to get all deep.
I hope we see the Mitchum brothers one more
Me too.
time.
Me too.
For sure.
Just hope they don't have to kill their friend Dougie Jones.
So then we cut from Chantel and Hutch just quick enough to go back to the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station, where Hawk and Bobby are putting James and Freddie in cells. Chad's still in there. The drunk is still in there. And Dido's still in there. Nido, that's right. So no one acknowledges the drunk.
Again, no one except Chad acknowledges the drunk.
So I'm starting to think this drunk is a Black Lodge entity. The woodsman that was sitting in the room that turned the crank had blood coming out of his mouth. He had some kind of liquid coming out of his mouth that was kind of running all down his shirt. It reminded me very much of the guy in prison. Not so much like Billy.
Not out his nose.
And it wasn't coming out the woodsman's nose either. It was just coming out of his mouth, just like this drunk in the jail cell that's constantly repeating things and only Chad sees. He's probably there to collect Chad. I hope that's what's going down.
Me too, and no one's going to see it. They're just going to see Chad's head explode. James is going to go, what the hell?
Hawk assures James that the two men that Freddie hit were in serious condition. He looks upset about it. Bobby didn't have any exchange with James at all.
Boy, this is my destiny.
and it seems as though Freddie's fulfilling his destiny. It's getting fulfilled for him because he seems to be in the right place. Protecting Nido seems like a good mission for our green-gloved wonder.
What was the enormous pile driver?
Yeah.
Would that be strong enough to bend bars, break bars?
I would think so. I think he could
Chisel
his
hole
way
in
out
the
of
cement
there.
at the bottom of the floor.
He seems strong enough where he could just grab a bar and whoop, and grab the other bar and whoop.
Probably.
So we'll see. We're going to see what happens. But there's another cliffhanger.
Found it interesting Bobby handled Freddie while Hawk handled James. And we still haven't really seen Bobby and James even really look at each other.
Because Big Ed and Bobby did. Seems
Yeah.
like they've made up. And Big Ed's a good guy. James has always been kind of weird and a loner kind of guy.
I haven't seen Big Ed and James together either.
I know. Are we
That's
going to
just-
see that at all?
Big Ed's going to go see him in the clink again. No, son, you got yourself in here again, didn't you?
I'm going to need some help from the cookhouse.
Or like the good old days, I heard about Aunt Nadine. It's like, how did you hear about Aunt Nadine?
Right, every TV show ever. You go from
Smallville. They get back from school. I heard what happened at school today. I just got back from school. Anyway,
But I digress.
but I digress. You got to let those things go.
We go back to Las Vegas so we can get another shot of Chantal and Hutch eating. Probably Wendy's.
So good. This is so good.
And Hutch says, government,
This is a Mark Frost, by the way.
Yes.
This is all Frost.
yes, government does it all the time. They get paid for it. And Chantal says, they sure do, two-faced fucks.
Two bites fucked.
Hutch says, this so-called Christian nation might as well be thou shalt kill, show no mercy, forgive no one, fuck them in the ass. A nation of killers, all alone. Killed damn near all the Indians. Chantal said, well, my fun is over when I kill someone. Ain't no fun torturing a corpse. And then she goes on about how she wishes she could torture, and it just hadn't happened for them lately, and it just sucks. And then she bitches about the little ketchup packages. That's all they had. But
You know, at Wendy's they got the little paper cups that you could, and that probably she probably wanted some.
yeah, he should stock up on that next time. But he shows he's a good husband because he got her dessert. And she looks in the bag and she's like,
What was it?
we don't know, but I bet it was a hot apple pie.
Tune in next week.
Then, in a classic moment of just carnage to beauty, Hutch looks outside and goes, "It's a beautiful night." And Chantal looks, and she sees a star, and she says, "Mars." I just love that. I love how they give these characters a personality, you know, besides just
I want to
killing
see.
people.
I want to see Hutch, the Hutchins, and the Vega brothers, John Travolta from Pulp Fiction and Michael Madsen from Kill Bill, and Hutch and Chantal, and get Quentin Tarantino to direct that shit, Suicide Squad style. Be root for the bad guys. I mean, how can you root for Hutch? Send him on a trip with the Vega brothers.
I'm kind of rooting for Hutch. I hope Hutch and Chantal get away with everything.
It'd kind of be nice to see them walk away from it all.
They're either going to go down in a blaze of glory or they're going to get away with it all.
Hey, you deserve to die if you get killed by him.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. That's
And
a
if
good
you
way
get
to go.
tortured, boy, you really deserve it.
So way to go, Duncan Todd. You never left that office, but you got taken out and good.
I've eaten Wendy's twice since I'm just saying, it worked. It worked. I've eaten it twice. They're 4 for 4, let me tell you.
Okay, so now we're going to go to Las Vegas again. We're at the Joneses.
The Joneses.
Douglas Joneses in Lancelot Court with the red door. And Janie's offering up another piece of chocolate cake. They must have chocolate cake for days in that place.
She likes to bake.
And Dougie's eating, and Janie says, "This is amazing. We have almost everything we ever wished for." It's so ominous when someone says that. We have everything we ever wished for. Let me leave you alone, my child, while you eat with a fork and all these electrical outlets everywhere with no child protection. Okay. So Janie goes in the kitchen. Dougie is so with it now. He really is. He takes a bite of cake. He notices the shakers. He separates them.
The bell-shaped shakers.
He separates them. He makes them one further away from the other. Then he takes another bite of cake. Then he notices the remote control and he presses a button. Then he takes another bite of cake and then he presses buttons again. Then he takes another bite of cake and he presses the buttons. Then the TV comes on. And on the TV is Sunset Boulevard
Billy Wilder.
by Billy Wilder.
If you never watch black and white movies because you don't like black and white or just, whatever, Billy Wilder, go watch his movies. He's very different. Some Like It Hot, Double Indemnity, and The Apartment. It's just 3 of them. And Some Like It Hot and Sunset Boulevard are just 2 completely different movies and completely awesome movies.
But if you know David Lynch and you're a fan of his, then you probably know that Sunset Boulevard is a big influence of his, one of his favorites. He loves that movie so much he named his own character Gordon Cole after a character that was in Sunset Boulevard, Gordon Cole. So ironically, Sunset Boulevard comes on the TV and it's right at a scene where Mr. DeVille is suggesting they get a hold of Gordon Cole.
Get the team back together.
Norma's talking about we need to get the team back together. The actress's name is Norma. Dougie Cooper is looking at the TV. But when they say Gordon Cole, he just snaps, and it looks like he snaps out of it. All of a sudden, he realizes there's a pressing need right now to get on the floor.
They had to stop, but he stopped input. He had to stop input.
Uh-huh.
We always said when he was listening to looking at the American flag and hearing the music, it was that chick that walked through and he looked at the shoes. It distracted him from doing becoming Cooper.
Right.
He was always getting distracted.
And we talked about for weeks now that no one's identified this guy as Cooper, and once he gets identified as Cooper, that might snap him back. And you were talking about, because he's never met anybody named Laura, he's never met anybody named Albert, he's never met anybody named Gordon.
Anything, yeah.
And that's what did it. Gordon Cole. He hears an electrical buzz from the outlet. The outlet's next to the TV. The TV's not plugged in that outlet. Probably plugged in another outlet, but there's no plug in this outlet. He gets on all fours. He starts crawling towards the outlet. Dougie's got the fork from where he's eating his cake. He gets to the outlet, and he tries to stick his fork in it, and it won't fit. Then he turns it around, and he sticks the handle in it. And he electrocutes himself. All the lights go out. Janie's screaming to the top of her lungs. You can hear Sonny Jim upstairs. What happened, Mom? What was that?
And you see him go down, and you see his feet behind him, like he hit the ground.
He hit the ground.
You didn't see any kind of zap like he disappeared.
Yeah, if he disappears, it's after he hit the ground, because they showed him hit the
It
ground.
looks like there's a body left behind if he is elsewhere.
Face down.
And then, and all the lights went out in Lancelot Court.
They're probably out all the way down to Rancho Rosa. You hear,
119. 119.
That's not how you call the electric company.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The electric company.
Now, that's the ultimate cliffhanger. Right.
Yeah, the ultimate.
Because we don't go back, and hopefully we do next episode, but time will tell. We've got 3 hours left. If we don't see Dougie at all this next episode, all I'm saying is don't be surprised. Okay. Now we go to Twin Peaks.
It's true because James not seeing what.
Yeah, James is outside a door, and the next thing you know, he's going to the roadhouse. We didn't see nothing about the door.
Nothing about it.
So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, we end the episode in Twin Peaks. We start with the sheriff's station. Hawk gets a call from Margaret. Lucy patches Margaret through, and Margaret starts to tell Hawk that she's dying. She tells Hawk that he knows about death, that it's just a change, it's not an end. And then she tells Hawk it's time. There's some fear in letting go. Then she says, remember what I told you? She says she can't say any more over the phone. Just remember what I said to you in those times when we used to be able to talk face to face. She said, watch for that one. The one under the moon on Blue Pine Mountain. Now, Major Briggs' message was a picture of 2 triangles. One of them had a circle over it, which people thought was the sun. And over the other mountain was a crescent shape, which you can consider the moon. And underneath it was the picture of the mother or the experiment
that Cooper had on his ace card.
So when the log lady says, watch out for the one under the moon on Blue Pine Mountain, she's got to be talking about the same thing Hawk didn't want to talk to the sheriff about. Something that even the log lady won't talk about over the phone. Maybe she's afraid of electrical.
Yeah, it's gotta be. And Hawk was face to face with it, because I think it's him, Sarah, but that's just...
We're going to see. That's got to get solved in the next 3 hours. Then the log lady tells Hawk, my log is turning gold. The wind is moaning. I'm dying. And she says, good night, Hawk. And Hawk says, good night, Margaret. He hangs up and then he says, goodbye, Margaret.
And I thought she said my log's turning cold at first. And it just completely opened up the waterworks. And
I heard she said gold, and I still got the same feeling that the log was changing to gold. That meant they were about to go to heaven, or the White Lodge, or whatever. They were about to transcend.
The very next scene, kind of, looking back on it, and the music that was playing was, it makes more sense that it's gold and not cold.
Well, yeah, that was it. They show the moon, and then Hawk calls Bobby, Lucy, and Andy into the conference room, and the sheriff's already in there looking at a trout on his computer. And they said that Hawk called them in, and Hawk walks in and tells all of them that Margaret Lanterman is dead, that she passed away tonight. And then they play the sad music. They show the log lady's cabin, and the light dims in the cabin till it's out.
I'm not mistaken, it's the same music that they played in episode 8 when the Laura Ball was formed. It's the same.
It's similar.
Yeah. We'll have more on thoughts we thought you didn't think of on that, but
yeah, when we get a chance to snoop around a little bit.
It's such a touching.
Anything Angela does is just incredible.
Yeah.
That man's music just it's like an IV that plugs straight into my soul.
We just seen Catherine Coulson. We just seen something that's, turned the faucets on, and then we hear about what we just saw, and it still makes you cry because of just the music and the way
so by then
lit.
Yeah, I've cried 3 times now. 3 different moments in this episode. And that first one with Ed and Norma was just so warm, and then this was just so. It felt right. It felt like a good way to say goodbye to a character, the log lady who is more than a character. She really is. She's to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And the episode was dedicated to the actual character, Margaret Lanterman. They dedicated an earlier episode to Catherine E. Coulson, who died before everything was released.
In late 2015.
So after that, we go to Audrey and Charlie. I'm still assuming they're in Twin Peaks. And they're having the same conversation they've always had. She wants to leave. Charlie is finally ready to leave with her, and she talks herself out of it. Instead of saying, okay, Charlie's ready to go, I'm going to put my jacket on, let's finally go, she starts arguing with Charlie about how horrible of a person he is because he's saying, let's go, basically. And she's annoyed by that. She starts talking about, well, Billy doesn't nitpick with me all the time. Bill, what does she say? Billy doesn't talk to me that way.
And when we're in public,
he says,
you don't ever go anywhere.
He says, I'm Charlie, and he is Billy. She said, that's why I like Billy better.
Sensational.
Sensational. He said, in 1 fucking minute, I'm going to take my coat off, and I'm going to sit back down. I'm sleepy. And sure enough, she sits there and talks her way right out of going. Which leads so much credence to the theory that she is in a coma. It's almost like he's trying to wake her up, and she doesn't want to wake up.
And she reminds me of a lot of women.
It's true. Are you going to talk me to death right here?
What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat?
She asked at one point, who are you, Charlie? So she was asking who she was. Now she's asking who he is.
No, fucking can't you?
What are you saying? What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat?
What do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? You want to pick what you want to eat? I don't know. You pick what I want to eat. All right, let's go here. I don't want that. Oh,
ergo the problem.
Dweller on the threshold.
Don't ask me what I want to eat. Whatever you want to eat. And then let's go for it. Because when I pick something, you're going to tell me, I don't want that.
Yeah. Chicken on a bone.
Right. Exactly. So, what do you want to eat? Everything I want to eat, I know you don't want
I will eat all of it.
You're setting me up with that question. It's the
setup.
Question.
It's a setup.
If you ever watched
Charlie, you were set up at the door, man. You set up to put
If you ever watched the movie Mother, you'll see some beautiful scenes about the food question. Oh my God, with the food,
Albert
it's like
Brooks?
Fantasia for food. Yeah, it's just insane. Oh man, I love that movie. Okay. By the way, Charlie finally takes his jacket off and sits down, and Audrey gets so pissed she runs over there and
She
starts
does.
choking him.
I mean, she really expects him to open the door
Right.
and push
Right.
her out. But
Right.
it's going to take her to do it.
Right.
She has to do it.
Right. That's what makes you think it's some sort of therapeutic thing, because he could have easily just opened up the door and walked out the house, and she would have followed him like a dog. I think that's how the situation is. He can't open the door for
No.
her. She's got to do it herself.
Yeah.
And she just won't.
And she just won't.
And she's choking him down, saying, "I fucking hate you."
Just-
Now,
Maybe
there's
that'll
another
snap her
cliffhanger.
out of it. It'll snap her out of it.
That's what I was thinking. 'Cause she was like, "I've never seen
Cooper
you."
and Audrey are both going to snap out of it. They're going to be in a bed next to each other in a hospital.
Oh god, that would be the perfect ending for so many of the Audrey Cooper lovers.
Coop's going to have a beard down here like Rip Van Winkle.
And everybody's going to be a different occupation, right? They're all different characters now. Absurd.
Coop's going to look at Audrey. She says, "What's your Rip Van Winkle crinkle?" I was in a coma. I was in a coma. I was in another dimension. Did you know anyone named Charlie?
Chuck. Whoever said they stole the truck, and someone stole the truck, and then someone said they stole the truck. I can't believe I don't know all that. I've studied this shit. I'm supposed to know that.
I'm really giving credence because there was an article that said that Showtime was wanting to have younger blood in this new season, and every young person we have met, their storylines have really made next to no sense at the ass end of every episode, and really amounting to nothing. And we're never going to get any of it. Angela, Pauline, Paula, all these people.
Oh man, Angela. What about Clark and Tina and Angela?
Yeah, these are all the people
Noble
Showtime wanted me to put in my show, and I didn't want them in there, and this is how much they belong in this show.
We never met Mary Ann.
None of
Never
Twin
met
Peaks
Mary.
belonged in Fire Walk with Me because Laura didn't know them. That's why. So if you're missing people from Twin Peaks because they made the cutting room floor, then you should be loving these people because we're letting them have their moment, which is exactly what would have happened if those other people would have been in it. Big deal. Oh, I saw Ed in Fire Walk with Me. So,
Yeah.
did he ever work on Laura's car?
Really? Did Bob ever brush up to him? Did Ed and Leela never go drinking out one night? You know, there's a reason why Audrey wasn't in Fire Walk with Me. She had nothing to do with Laura. That's why.
At all.
Okay. By the way, Fire Walk with Me, greatest movie ever. Okay, we end at the Roadhouse with yet another character that we don't know and really don't care about. Ruby.
But she could be Judy because she's Asian.
You never know. Yeah, it's the Pacific Northwest, but we still have to keep an eye on all these Asians.
Anybody that lives there knows.
Yeah, there's more Asians there than there are any other minority. There's Indians and there's, did I say Indians? Native Americans.
Native Americans.
And Asians. You have to live there and know that.
Yeah. A little more representation, please.
So Ruby is waiting for someone, and these two big bikers decide to pick her up and set her on the ground.
Which was great. That's like straight out of a slapstick comedy.
And she decides to get on all fours and crawl. And the whole time, this band's playing called The Veils.
I thought it was Trouble at first. It was like, boy.
But the song was really good and had a Lost Highway feeling to it for sure. And I wrote down some of the lyrics. He was saying, "Oh, my soul, losing control. Who built this heart? Oh, God." And at one point he was saying, "Who needs the devil when you have God?" So it just seemed like a person struggling with their soul. And we are getting to the point right now in Twin Peaks where this is the ultimate battle of the soul. We need to save Sarah. We need to save Laura. We need to save Cooper.
And we need to save Richard.
And I don't know if we need to save Ruby, but she needs saving because at one point she just starts screaming. And it's like she's
So
lost
intense.
control of her soul. And it was morbid to watch her crawl around on the ground like that. I mean,
Could care less if I knew her or not. It's just perfect. It was shot so well and so.
Yeah, Joanna Ray and David Lynch, they have a way of putting people in a situation and you're just like,
How many people they looked at? I just need you to scream.
just crawl on the ground, scream, you're hired. And that's it. That was the end of the episode.
Such a good episode.
Part 15, there's some fear in letting go. We both thought Andy was going to say that, but it was the long lady. We're going to do Thoughts We Thought later on in the week, and we'll do our predictions for Rancho Rosa Color and who's going to say the title of the next episode.
So write it down if you haven't seen Sunset Boulevard. Write it down. Make it a, a lot of people are going to go and, you want to catch up on David Lynch movies during Twin Peaks. It's like, no, wait till after. If you've never seen Eraserhead, just wait until after. Because you're going to be wishing you had more of this when it's over.
Yeah.
And that's a good, if David Lynch calls it one of his favorite or his favorite movie of all time, it should inspire you to go check it out this week.
Mm-hmm. Or The Wizard of Oz. If you haven't seen that.
Or I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my fishbowl, here is my spout.
A fishbowl? That was Philip Jeffries.
It was the tall white Duke.
This was our review and recap, and we're gonna try to sort some of this stuff out later on and thoughts we thought you didn't think of. So click that notification bell after you subscribe to Rosenfield 10, so you can find out when we're gonna do more. We're gonna think about this stuff and try to come up with something a little more cohesive. But we're getting right down to the end of it. What a great episode! Thanks for tuning in. This has been Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. I am Joe.
I'm James.
And we will see you in the trees. Bye.